here we go. Part 10 of the All Skills tutorial series. Last time we picked up Dreamnail and fought Watcher Knight, and then obviously killed Lurian. And then this time we're going to go over the primary skips that people typically have to learn when entering this category. And those are the 3 skips on the way to Isma's tier. So let's hop right in. So we're going to be waking up at Lurian and just heading down as fast as we can towards Isma's tier in Ancient Basin. As soon as you wake up, you're just going to dash left and hit this switch on your way down. This is so the elevator passes you on your way down. If you don't hit that switch, it'll actually block you from continuing, so you'll have to climb all the way back up to hit that switch. After that, just get into this little glass side part and inventory drop to the bottom. Just like that. Luckily, Geo is not really a worry for the rest of the route, and the reasoning for this is this Geo chest here. You're going to want to open it, grab all of the Geo, or as much as you can, but most of it for sure. Check both corners of the chest, sometimes Geo is hidden here. And then just crystal dash over here to pick up the rest of it, followed by an inventory drop. This is not the correct Geo amount. Generally, at this point, you should have about the amount the chest gives you, so 655. Once you fall down here, it's another crystal dash into inventory drop, this time in this black column here. And then simply dash over, and typically this elevator's up, but I think debug messed with it a little bit. And just hit the switch and do a crystal dash. This one you're going to cancel right at the edge of this platform, and then you can just inventory drop into the load zone. This is the last time you're going to be in this dark room, and we're going to exit it the same way we did before. So dash, dash, jump dash, and then inventory drop down. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend grabbing at least 1 fireball worth of soul in this area. You should have a little bit left over from Watcher Knight, or you might have 0. You can hit one of these enemies on the bottom, or some of the enemies at the bottom of this room, which I'll show in a second. So we'll head down here, fall through the floor because we broke it earlier, and then you can just get a fireball worth of soul from them. From here, we are going to make our way down to the broken elevator shaft. There's 2 ways to do this upcoming room. There's an easy way and a slightly harder way. I'll start with the easy way. There's also a beginner route difference that lets you skip the 3rd skip on the way to Isma, but it is a route difference, so I'm going to talk about it at the end. So the first way to do this room is just with simple inventory drops. So you dash off, and as soon as you leave, you inventory drop, then dash, inventory drop again, and then you'll just fall down here into a final inventory drop. If you're more comfortable with it, you can, it's a really simple fall, is to just walk off here. So you land on this platform. But you need to end up in this area right here with the spike tunnel. And the reason for this is we're going to do a spike tunnel skip in order to get around here so that we can crystal dash across towards Isma's Grove. So if you're comfortable with it, I recommend doing those first 2 inventory drops and then falling, and you're going to start the skip by dashing into this wall. I'll explain the skip in one moment, but first I want to show the other way to go through this room. So the other slightly faster way to go through the room is to cancel your first inventory drop partway through and then just drift where you need to as you fall down the shaft. So that looks like this. And then once again, dash into this wall. I'm going to set infinite HP here because I might end up dunking into the spikes a lot trying to show things. But the premise of this skip is we need to be able to pogo off the spikes and then dash to that left little platform. And the way we're going to do this is by wall jumping relatively low as we can on this wall, And then once we've reached far enough into the spike tunnel, do a pogo dash. So that looks like this. Typically, you're going to be falling from up here, up, and then you'll dash into the wall, just like that. So that happened pretty fast, but I'll try to explain it here. Basically, you want to jump somewhere in this lower quarter of the wall. And then my visual cue, this trick is a little finicky and it'll take some muscle memory because depending on how low or how high you jump off the wall, you may have to pogo earlier or later. So if you jump a little bit too high, if you jump way too high, you'll hit the top spikes, which is bad, obviously. If you jump a little bit too high, you'll actually have to delay your pogo so that you don't pogo yourself into the top spikes. If you do it a little too low, you'll have to pogo earlier so that you don't hit the bottom spikes. But generally, there's these pair of spikes right here, these raised spikes here above the rest. And once the knight's roughly in that area is when I try to pogo and then dash. But this is just from my experience, so it'll just take some practice to get used to this motion. Oops. All right, crystal dash a bit too far. So this is the best way to practice, is just turn on infinite HP and just do this motion over and over again. There's what's happened. That happens if you don't pogo fast enough, or sorry, dash fast enough after your pogo. But I mean, basically everyone messes up this trick sometimes. Sometimes you just lose the muscle memory. So this type of practice where you just have infinite HP on and do it over and over again is perfect. One little nuance about this trick that can be a problem sometimes is, for the most part, as long as you don't jump way too early, you can save it. So if you jump a little bit too early or a little too late. However, if you jump at the last possible moment off the bottom, you'll get a very weird looking wall jump. And if you do that, you basically have to abort that attempt and get yourself back on the wall. I'll try to show that. It just happens sometimes, and then you end up dunking on the bottom spikes because you're just a little too low. Yeah, I can't even get it here because it's just the last possible moment. Just like that. Oh, wow. Apparently you can stand here. But if you do that and you keep holding left, you just dunk into the spikes. So if you see that weird wall jump animation, I'm not sure if I can get it again, but if you see that, just do something like this. You just let yourself fall back here and then set it up again. But I'll do the trick a couple more times just to show what it should look like. Not like that. So yeah, it's just a weird timing that you have to get used to. And again, not everyone's 100% consistent with it, much like every trick in this game. There was the weird wall jump again, so that was perfect that I tried this a couple more times. So as you could see, as soon as I saw that wall jump, I stopped immediately. So yeah, once you get this down, you are going to end up on this platform. If you go through the transition, it's not a big deal. But one more time, you do this skip and try not to dunk on the spikes. And then you're going to end up here. As soon as you land, you're going to want to start a crystal dash to the right. You'll end up here in Isma's Grove. After you pass the first acid pit, you can stop your C dash and let yourself fall right where these crystals are. That's the game's way of telling you where to crystal dash usually, but obviously it just happens to be a convenient spot. So crystal dash across here, nothing too exciting here. This next skip is going to be an acid skip right above this acid here. And we do this skip in order to get to the actual main part of Isma's Grove without having to fight Dung Defender. So this one's pretty big. This is generally considered the easiest of these three skips, but it's still a bit tricky. There's these two horns that always spawn here, or these three, I guess. This one will never be in your way. This one will never be in your way. If you get very unlucky, this warmth down here can be right above the acid. So if you go for your acid skip, you'll run into it, take damage, and then dunk into the acid. So that's 2 health worth of damage. And especially if you're starting out, that's really inconvenient. Not only is it time loss, but the next section could be risky when you're trying to move on towards Monarch Wings. So that's why I was just saying you should collect 1 fireball worth of soul, is so that when you enter this area, you do your crystal dash, you can come here and shoot a fireball. And if you listened closely, you could hear the Hormp die over on the other side. And after that, you have nothing to worry about for this skip. I'm probably going to kill this Hormp just so I can show this skip a couple times, but this is never one that you actually have to kill. All right, so setting up this skip. We need to wall cling to a wall down here, which you can see here. We need to cling to that wall and then ride along the acid. People have different ways of setting this up. Some people like to just walk off this platform and dash into it. Kind of like that, except without bonking your head. This is not the method I do, so I can't really speak to it, but it looks something like that. A method that I personally think is easier is, so there's a timing that most runners are pretty used to, which is the timing for just spamming your dash. And luckily, if you dash off of this edge, your dash will come off of cooldown at the perfect height where you can dash right into that wall. So to set this up, I just dash off and dash into the wall. If you just time your dashes properly, you'll never dunk into the acid. The timing for when to press C-dash after you hit the wall is a little tricky, so with a little bit of practice, you'll get it down. But generally, it's not the second you touch the wall, you have to delay a tiny bit. But make sure you're pressing it soon enough that you don't slide down the wall at all. So it should look something like this. After this, the rest is relatively simple. You shouldn't be too low to the acid if you did it properly. And then you can just Crystal Heart across and then wall jump once you reach this side. So once again, dash, dash, Crystal Heart, and you can see how far above the acid I am. It shouldn't be too risky if you get your dashes timed properly. So yeah, I'll show this a couple more times, but this one you should be able to get relatively consistently with a bit of practice. I'm just trying to get rid of that enemy. Alright, so one more time, dash, dash, Crystal Heart, and then wall jump once you reach the end. Alright, now we're coming up to the second Isma skip, which has a pretty weird property to it. So first things first, if you just walk into the room, you'll fall off like you saw there, because the game expects you to have Isma's tier here, so it doesn't care about dropping you into the acid. So the way to deal with this is to either tap left just as you reach the edge, but that can be a little tricky, or just let yourself fall and then you can wall jump off here if you're not ready to do the skip immediately. Basically, what the skip looks like is we're going to do another crystal dash, but as you can see, the area that we're landing on has this big edge here. So in order to get around it, we have to do a funky wall jump that kind of ignores the fact that there's a little ceiling here. So I'm going to do it once, and then I'm going to explain what's going on here. Oops, all right. So that's what it looks like. Let's get these out of the way. So there's 2 primary parts to this. The first is there's a little pebble right here on the wall. There's a high quality image of it in the Discord if you want to go and look at that. But I'm circling I'm circling it with my mouse right now, and if I turn off pause, you should be able to see it a little more clearly. And my goal is to line up the top of my eye with that pebble. That'll let me just slip under this wall here and be at the perfect height for the next part of this trick. So if you get too low, you're gonna have to wall jump back up like this. But you can press C dash multiple times, and you can see right now the top of my eye is like right in the center of that pebble. So once you have this lined up, it's not super exact, you can be a tiny bit lower than this, but if you're too far, then the second part of the trick won't work. So then you're going to C dash across. As soon as you hit the wall, you want to do a neutral wall jump off the wall. You can't hold any directions until after you clear this lip, otherwise you'll bonk your head. This is because the game, when you're neutral jumping, seems to want to force you up past the corner and then up again, rather than just bonking your head and falling down. I don't have an explanation as to why this is, but we use it. So yeah, as soon as I hit the wall, the audio cue I use is the sound of me hitting the wall. So I don't try to predict the sound. I just wait to actually hear it. As soon as I hear it, I just hold down my jump button, don't hold any other directions, and then it should work. Okay, the pause messed me up there, but let's try to show that in full now. Just like that. As you can see, I kind of slipped around the ceiling. I'm going to show it a couple more times, but the primary things you're going to have to work on. The height thing is relatively easy. You have the good visual cue for it. The main thing is timing the second part. As long as you can either drill it into your muscle memory or pick an audio cue that works for you, perfect. Other than that, there's not too much advice I can give otherwise, other than it'll take some practice. That being said, these are the hardest skips in the run, so if they give you a little bit of trouble, don't worry. So I'll do this a couple more times, and then I'm going to talk about the beginner route. I've actually never had that happen to me before. Apparently I was a tiny bit too high, so I bonked my head. Yeah, so there it is again. It's just lining yourself up at the right height. Just gonna reset the room real quick. Lining yourself up here. I thought that was probably too low. Just like that. I'm not gonna go over the Isma's tier pickup itself yet, but I'm gonna do the trick one more time, and then I'm gonna talk about the beginner route. So as you enter, you're gonna probably fall off the ledge, so you can just let yourself fall off, and if you're really tight with your timing, you can fall directly into the trick, just like this. So C dash at the right height, hit the wall, and then neutral jump with the right timing. As you can see, I pressed it a little bit too late there, so I bonked my head. Just like that, and then you can dash your way through. You can get these worms to give you some time save. I'll talk about that in a second. But for now, the beginner route. So the beginner route is simply to pick up wings before coming to Isma's Grove. So I'll show you the route through the elevator shaft if you choose to do this route instead. But what that means so the spike tunnel skip and the first acid skip are going to be the exact same. For this skip, if you have wings, which I will give myself now, you can line yourself basically anywhere on the wall you'd like, and then cancel your C dash early and simply use your wings to get up. There's nothing really particularly difficult about this trick. So if this one Isma skip is giving you a lot of trouble, you're not losing a whole lot of time getting wings first. I'd say it's probably around 30 seconds. So if that's something you're comfortable with, is just having a little bit of time loss while you're learning the category, I'd definitely say go with that route because it'll get rid of this roadblock of consistency for a long time. Okay, I will, let me see where my last save state is. All right, I'm going to return and talk about the beginner route real quick. All right, so exiting here. If you are doing wings first, you will. So after the Monarch Wing split, I'll talk about it more when we get to that part of the tutorial series. But after picking up the Monarch Wings, you head to Hidden Station, which is the Stag Station nearby. After you take that Stag, you're going to go to King Station over here. So at this point, you'll have your wings, and you'll be headed towards Isma's tier, because we want to pick it up before fighting Hornet 2, because it lets us avoid a damage tank. So once again, the route to get to the elevator shaft from here is to just use basically all the movement you picked up. So you can Crystal Heart to this side, and then use your wings to get through here faster. In this room, you're going to dash out, do a full jump, and then immediately Crystal Heart. This lets you cross the entire room without any problem. Once you see this wall, you're going to want to cancel your Crystal Dash and then inventory drop immediately. This will bring you right here to the entrance of the elevator shaft. From here, the method for dropping down to the spike tunnel skip is the same that I showed earlier in the video. However, the method to get through the other transition on your way to Monarch Wings is going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to show that here. So both methods work here. You can either do the drift method or the inventory drop method. I'll just show the inventory drop method here, but if you're starting out and you choose this route and you're on your way to Monarch Wings after Lurian, you're just going to go through the room like this. You're going to do the inventory drops like before. And then here, you can do that little drift here. So it's very simple. You just walk off, drift right, drift to the middle, drift right, and inventory drop. And this will bring you right here to the bottom, so you can exit to the left. And that's the only route difference. So the main thing that's losing you time is having to come from King Station back to Isma's Grove again. Now we're going to talk about picking up Isma's tier itself and having the Horms help you out. So you do your final Isma skip, and you can see that there are these two Horms floating around there. If you can hit the second one up in the air, it'll chase after you in its big, like, blown up form. If it hits you while you're picking up Isma's tier, it's kind of like the damage warp from Descending Dark, where it'll let you move during the pickup animation. And that'll save you time when leaving Isma's Grove. So the way to do that is just like this. You do your acid skip. Then you do a couple dashes. I was unfortunately a little bit slow with my dashes, so this might not work. Let's see if it decides to float over. All right, so unfortunately I knocked it a little bit too far away. So let's try that again. But that's what it looks like. It's just hitting the Horm so it floats up high and can come hit you during the pickup animation. So this setup looks a little bit better, and as you can see, I can now dash during this pickup. After that, you're going to exit the room as normal. I'm going to talk about the exit and everything on the way to Monarch Wings in the next video. I'm going to show this horn pickup one more time, and that'll be it for now. Oops. All right, let's try that again. This might be too low. Oh, nice. So once again, just hit it and then make sure to get out of its way soon enough, and it should follow you and hit you out of the pickup. This is actually a decently large time save, so try to get this if you can. Once again, that's the video, and next video is going to be Monarch Wings.